Welcome to the Healthpreneur Podcast. My name is Uriel Kame, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Another special episode today. I'm joined by Matt Schifferle, and I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So Matt, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hey, Yuri, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, totally. So tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about who you are, what it is you do, and then we'll jump into digging deep on a specific area you can help with.
Sure. So my history is I grew up in Vermont, and I've always been very much of an outdoorsy kind of guy when it comes to fitness. Instead of being in the gym, I'd much rather be out on a mountain somewhere. And I've always loved to be very active, and I like to be exercising and taking care of my health, but I've always been a little left of center when it comes to the classic approaches to diet and exercise. So I spent a good 10, 15 years trying to fit into that world of the classic go to the gym and stick to various diets and stuff, but I found it didn't fit very well for me. So over the past 10 years, I've been coming with a different approach, which is a little bit more flexible, more principle-based, and uses a lot of body weight training and a very flexible approach to eating and weight management, which I find works way better for me, and it helps a lot of other folks who don't seem to fit that classic healthy lifestyle approach. So over the past 10 years or so, I've been basically broadcasting my ideas, writing books, making YouTube videos to share what I've learned and get a lot of feedback from it. And it's created this little community I call the Red Delta Project. And it's been growing steadily. It's been getting some traction, but over the past, I would say, year or two, it feels like it's really starting to ramp up and get more clear on the approaches. And so now I'm starting to get to this point of like, all right, how do I take this sucker to the next level and really start to make my ideas more formulated, much clearer, and just something that's a lot more practical so I can help a lot more people.
Awesome. So what's the specific question? So what can we specifically tackle? And first, actually, can you see this on the screen?
Yeah, I can. That's very helpful.
So what's the specific question that we can tackle over the next 20 or so minutes?
So the biggest question, I think, is how do I get a lot of my information to be more relatable to the people who are in the classic fitness scape? Because I feel like sometimes I make my videos or I put things out there, and because I'm a little bit left of center, I don't know how to title it. I don't know how to describe it in a way that would be catching the attention of the people who are typically in the classic go to the gym and stick to this diet kind of approach. And because it's a little bit different, it's not in the mainstream. So they may need it, but they don't know how to look for it. They don't know they need to look for it. And I don't know how to grab people's attention with it. So some of the stuff I've done is very classic, like do this to build muscle, do this to lose weight kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I feel like I've got great ideas. People who read it and watch my videos say, this is great, but you don't have enough attention. So I'm having trouble getting more attention to my ideas and my videos, despite still coming out with clearer messages.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. And why do you want more attention on your stuff?
Well, basically, I feel like my stuff is pretty good and it's very helpful. And once people get kind of into the loop of it, they're like, this is the best thing in the world. I just didn't know I needed this sort of idea. So I feel like I can help a lot of people, and people want what I have, but getting them past that first level of awareness is the thing that is holding me back a little bit, because, well, if you don't know I exist and that my ideas exist, you don't know that these ideas are out there, that no, you don't need to follow the classic rules of diet and exercise. You don't have to do the things you don't want to do when it comes to getting in shape. But because the mainstream approaches to diet and exercise are so popular, I feel like I'm just getting drowned out with that. So if I can get more attention, I can help more people.
So let's say that you get this attention, they watch your videos, read your articles, etc.
Yep.
Then what? What's the end game? How do you benefit? How do they benefit?
So basically, more attention in the short term leads to just simply more of the monetization cycle going on, more selling more books, just more views on YouTube, plus also just more feedback on my ideas. Like the more I teach, the more I learn, the more I can kind of formulate what I'm trying to do. And not just from a monetary perspective, but I feel like the more people watch my stuff, the better I get at producing stuff that people want. Otherwise, I feel like I'm producing things that some people like, some people don't, but I don't have the audience to give me the feedback or the information of, hey, why don't we go in this direction? Why don't we go in that direction? And as a result, I feel like I'm kind of just spinning around in circles.
Sure. Do you have a very clear picture of who your perfect client is?
Yeah, I'm it basically.
Okay, cool.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
My perfect client is someone who is experienced in fitness to some degree. Like they've been going to the gym, they've been doing the diet things. They're not terribly new at the whole thing, but at the same time, they're kind of at the end of their rope with things. They're starting to get burned out. They're frustrated. They may have been doing it for just a few weeks, or they may have been doing it for several years, but they're at the point where they're looking at the classic approaches, the popular approaches to diet and exercise, and thinking there's got to be just a better way to do this without having to jump through all these hoops, because it's just too high maintenance, it's too hard, it's too stressful. There's got to be a simpler and easier way to do that.
Okay, cool. And so they don't care if you're telling them to go swimming or horseback riding or whatever. They're just looking for a better way than what they've been doing. Is that right?
Yeah, what they've got is worked okay maybe, but they're getting frustrated with it. This is the frustrated fitness consumer.
And what's the major pain, or like, why are they doing this? Like, for instance, I work out to not just be in shape, but to kick ass on the tennis court, right? Like that's one of my big desires. So what's the big pain or problem or desire that you're solving for these clients?
So it's a couple of things. The biggest one is just, like I said, a frustration, feeling like you're spending all of this energy and all of this time and sometimes monetary expense, but you're working so hard and really making sacrifices, but it's just not getting you where you need to go. Like you feel like
what specifically are they working hard for? Like, are they looking to build muscle, lose weights, like look better in their tank top?
Those are the two big ones. Particularly building muscle is a big one.
Yep.
Or when it comes to the weight loss thing, it's weight loss, but it's also just simply struggling to stick to their habits. Someone who is always kind of going with the yo-yo of like, I get into a groove and then I fall off, and then I go to the gym for a while and then I don't go for a while. Or someone who's really here and there lacking the consistency, and every time around they're like, gosh, if I could just stick to the diet, or if I could just keep going to the gym, but then they get really burned out with it, or it's just, again, not producing the result for the amount of cost that they're spending. They're getting frustrated, they're getting burned out, and they're thinking there's got to be a better way to do this.
Sure. What is a magazine that they might be reading?
Probably typical fitness periodicals.
Like Men's Health?
Men's Health, Women's Health kind of thing. Probably not so much magazines, but more online. Just doing the random basic Google searches of, do I really, what's the best way to build muscle? What's the best diet? This is the typical individual who's always looking for the next piece of information, the next trend, the next fad, to take off that stress that they're feeling of, I'm working so hard, but it's just not working at all or well enough, there has to be something else out there. So they're constantly scouring the internet for what's better out there, because there has to be something better than what I'm doing right now.
So are you helping or targeting, is your perfect client both a man and a woman, or one or the other?
Well, right now I have much more of a male audience. So I think that's basically what I've been skewed towards, but definitely I'd like to help both genders as much as I can. Women especially, I see a lot of women. It's weird. I work with a lot of men on the internet, and I work with a lot of women in person. And once I start to break down some of the barriers that are holding them back, it's much more a relief, I find, for women to be like, oh, so I don't have to follow all of these rules when it comes to the diet. Like, no, let's do it this way instead. And it's a great relief to see them do that.
Cool. So my advice is, because from what I'm hearing is you're building kind of a publishing model where you're sharing a lot of content. And part of the challenge with that, especially in 2019, is dilution, which means no one sees your stuff, right? Because Google algorithm issues, Facebook shows nothing to anyone unless you're paying for it. YouTube, unless you've got a massive channel, your videos don't get seen. So it's a very, very challenging way, or a very challenging time to grow organically, especially if you're not super focused on one category, right? So I want to show you something that I think might help you out. So I just did a Google search for Men's Health Magazine. And these are the images that pop up. And the reason I like to use this is that if you know your perfect clients are reading this magazine, then all you have to do is look at the covers to look at what they want. Because these magazines spend a lot of money on research and very, very expensive copywriters to come up with the right angles and hooks that are going to attract those readers. Now, again, we're looking at a magazine, but obviously the same applies to their website, right? People who are online are generally the same person as if they were to read it in a magazine. So if we look at things like just the things in bold, like fit at any age, best body ever, fight fat and win, get back in shape, lose your gut, right? These are really, really good, kind of like kindling for building your fire of content. But it's also really important to look at this stuff, to look at what people really want. And if there was some kind of algorithm that could show, out of all the covers, which are the most common words, it'd probably be things like bigger arms, burn belly fat, get abs, build muscle, right? Stuff like that.
Got it.
Obviously, that's no surprise to most people in our space if you've obviously been working with these people for any amount of time. Here's the challenge, is that, so you've got books, you've got videos. How do people pay you money?
Primarily through buying my books, and there's just the classic YouTube AdSense kind of thing by watching the video.
And so how many books do you have? What price point are they?
I have 4 books, depending on what format you're buying through Amazon. Kindle versions are all $10. Paperback versions are anywhere from around $16 to almost $50.
Okay, so we'll say 10 to 50 bucks for the books.
Yep.
So once they buy a book, then what? That's like, here's your download, enjoy it type of thing? Or what happens next?
Yeah, I haven't worked a lot on the back end sort of things. It's basically they're done, and then I can follow up with questions on emails. I post a lot of other like YouTube videos and stuff like, hey, if you bought this book, here's more that I can give you. Here's some bonus content. Here's how you can get in touch with me. Kind of thing. I don't have the best follow-up system. It's very light at this point, and it's something I should probably work on.
And what are those books? Like, what are the topics of each of those 4 books?
So the books are primarily, the first one that I did was primarily just kind of a foundational fitness philosophy book, which was kind of how I was figuring stuff out at first. So that's one I call Fitness Independence. And it's basically getting back down to the grassroots of how does fitness work, just period.
Okay, second one?
3 books, and the 4th one, or the next one that I'm coming out with, is all basically targeted on body weight based style training towards various markets. The first one is a general approach to body weight training to make it more effective. I call Smart Body Weight Training. Then I came out with 2 niche books because people were asking for it. Body weight training for cycling and body weight training for martial arts. So those are different applications for bodyweight training for sports specific things. And I have backgrounds in those sports. So that was a bit of a personal labor of love there too.
Cool. So here's my initial thinking from our conversation so far is you want to get more attention, obviously, so you can make more money, you get more feedback. Ultimately with that, I think there's obviously, you want to impact people's lives probably. Typically your perfect client is someone kind of like a men's health reader, guy who wants to put on some muscle. And the books are Foundational Fitness and then 3 bodyweight books, 2 of them being targeted to cycling and martial arts. Is that right?
Yes.
So for me, I see there's a little bit, or maybe even more than a little bit of disconnect. Because what I would love to hear from you is, okay, Yuri, I help guys build muscle. And I've got 4 books, and each one of those 4 books is on building muscle. How to build bigger arms, how to build bigger legs, how to build a bigger chest.
Got it.
That is going to, number one, help you occupy a category in the market that everyone sees Matt as the guy to build muscle, for instance, right? You know Brett Contreras?
Oh, yeah.
What is he known for?
I don't know him, but I know of him. Sure.
Yeah. What is he known for?
Scientific research. I see his stuff out on Instagram all the time. Figure models, bodybuilders.
But he's the glute guy, right?
Yeah, and hips. Yeah.
Like that's what he does. Like he's glutes, hips. That's his thing, right? And I don't know the nature of his business, but I'm assuming he's done fairly well. So books are fine, but at the end of the day, if those books don't build your bank account, then something needs to change, right? So part of it is you can get more attention, but in order to get more attention, essentially what we're talking about here, Matt, is there's 2 pieces of the puzzle. There's traffic and there's conversion, right? So you want more traffic, which is essentially more attention.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
But you can't get more traffic if you don't have conversions. And what that means is if you sell a book, and let's just say you make $20, you can only spend up to $20 to acquire a customer. But if you have a conversion funnel or a pipeline or whatever you want to call it, that turns a $10 or a $20 book buyer into a $1,000 or $2,000 client, now you don't have to rely on a blog post or a YouTube video. You could essentially run ads, bring clients in at a couple $100s, and you could run that forever.
Yeah.
Right. So the challenge here, and this is something very, very common. So obviously you're not the only person dealing with this, is that a lot of people want to focus on getting attention. They're putting their content out there, but the real thing is at the end of the day, do you want to make more money?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing. It's like, let's focus on making money. And when I say making money, I really mean help people at a deep level. That's the byproduct of making money. And the thing is, if you're charging, let's say even $50 for a book, what's happening there is that the amount of income you can earn up here on a $50 book is only because you're skimming the surface. Right. But what we want to do instead is we want to think of, well, how do we tap into all of this down here? How do we tap into, instead of just $50, what if we could charge $2,000 to work with a client? What would have to be true to make that happen?
Right.
No one's going to pay $2,000 for a book, right?
Right.
But someone might pay you $2,000 to have you coach them and kick their butt to make sure they achieve their result. Wouldn't you agree? Right?
Sure.
Whether that's in person or online, it doesn't matter. So my encouragements, and this is really what we do with Healthpreneur, is encouraging you to really think about, again, if you enjoy coaching people, to think of how can I bring clients in who are going to pay me a higher amount of money? Because what that does is it gives you a lot more margin to support the publishing side of your business if you want to grow that.
Got it.
Right. And this is, this is a challenge I ran into with my health and fitness business. Is I ran a publishing model from the time I started in 2006, trying to sell $47 ebooks. And the problem I ran into was I spent all of my time focusing on conversions. And let me just share my screen here. I spent all of my time focusing on conversions, essentially meaning I had to become a marketer because I wanted more traffic so that I could make more money.
Sure.
So what I'm suggesting, let's flip that. Let's focus on get a handful of clients in that are going to pay you whatever, $2,000, $3,000 because premium price is going to help them. It's going to help you a lot more. You don't need as much traffic. You don't need to focus and fuss on the conversion side. So you don't need to worry about pipelines and funnels behind all your books.
Yep.
People read your books. The next step for them is to book a call with you and inquire about working together as a client.
Yep.
As opposed to an upsell, right?
Yep.
And now what becomes exciting about that is that your books are very valuable business cards on the front end. So the more those books get seen, the more your YouTube videos get seen, the more you have put your stuff out there. And now not every single reader, but maybe 10% or 5% of people who watch and read your stuff are going to be like, you know what, he's got some good stuff here. I think I really resonate with this philosophy, and he's got this coaching program. Maybe it's a good fit, right? And that's really where the opportunity is today, like in this day and age, because selling info is very challenging to do profitably and at scale.
Yeah.
Unless you spend most of your time being, a full-blown marketer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you like, what's resonating with you from this so far, from our conversation so far?
Totally lining up with exactly where I envision things going over the next several months, because I totally agree with you. Like for the past, I don't know how many years I've been working on my project and everything, there's been quite a bit of disconnect, and the message hasn't been very clear. And if someone's like, so what's it about? It'd be like, well, it's kind of, I didn't have a clear answer. So what I've been actually working on over the past 2 months, and I'm really excited about, is having a ever so slight shift in my direction towards basically bodyweight bodybuilding.
I think that's great.
It's purely like, you want to use bodyweight training, you want to get big and jacked, end of discussion. This is the best way to go about it. And I've been creating a new program and system on how it goes about that, and basically putting not all my eggs in one basket, but focusing on that as the main thing that I do. And all of the other little things that I would dabble in become part of that program, but off to the side a little bit. They're not the main thing. So by focusing on that one thing, I want to go in the direction exactly what you're suggesting of having, like, there will be books and everything, but there will be much more higher quality, like coaching sessions, personal training. Like, this is the thing I want to be known for, is I'm the bodyweight muscle guy. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like that idea. So that's a great idea. But like bodyweight bodybuilding, that is a big idea. And if you build your brand around that, you create a category of one. Yeah. And when you create a category of one, there's no more competition, but there's competition to become a generalist. And that was like the mistake that I made when I started my business online, was I spent 10 years building up a content platform that was based around general health and fitness content. So we did everything, right? Weight loss, energy, intermittent fasting, this, like, it was very, very challenging to, like, it was like pushing a boulder up a hill. Yeah. Had I known this 14 years ago, I would have said, I am the guy, or in your case, who helps guys use body weights to build muscle, or, the body weight bodybuilding idea. That's so much easier to build, and it's so much easier for people to get than, oh, you're just another trainer, right? It's a completely different conversation. And now in their mind, you have a higher perceived value because they have clarity on what you do and how you can help them. So I think that's great. So with respect to that, I mean, like, I think that's the way to go, because that just. And I'm very excited about it because it's giving me a lot of clarity, and the feedback because I've been kind of testing out little parts of the formula out into the universe a little bit. And the feedback I've been getting has been just off the charts. I've never teased ideas like this and gotten the response I've got. So I'm definitely on to the right track. Now it's just a matter of building the road and just following the path. Yeah. So what is the,
what is the launch of this look like? What is the first thing you're going to bring to market for this particular brand?
Yep. So the first thing to bring to market is the official like manual for my basic approach, which I'm writing right now and hope to have out within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And once that's out, then that'll be kind of like the cornerstone of what I do. I'm going to make some changes to the website and make this manual and the book and the approach like what I do kind of thing. From there, I'm going to branch out. And that part I haven't quite figured out enough yet, which is why I needed to talk to you about. So how do I get this into programs? How do I get it into sessions and things that I can actively coach and teach people on, aside from just the book? Because I like writing books and stuff, but working one-on-one is really what my deal is. Yeah. So once I have this thing established, I want to put out something into the world where I can work with people directly to really implement it and change some lives.
Yep, 100%. So the cool thing is the book becomes the coaching program.
Bingo.
Right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The book becomes the coaching program. Mm-hmm. And here's what I would suggest to you if you want to make a little bit more money very quickly, is how big of an email list do you have, roughly?
I'm ashamed to say I don't even have an email list. It's been on my to-do list. I've been just keeping up with things on social media.
Okay. So how big of a social following?
Bring it out there.
Mm-hmm. So like Facebook or Instagram or both, or?
Yeah, primarily YouTube. And that's where I've got the biggest following, a little bit of Instagram and Facebook as well. Okay. Yeah.
So here's what I recommend. And this is actually part of, a new program we're launching called First Client Formula. Because a lot of times we do all this stuff to launch this thing, and there's a much shorter, easier way to get there. So here's what I would suggest is if you had an email list, or you could just post this on Facebook or Instagram, it would be something along the lines of like coaching program. I'm starting up a new coaching program where I'm going to be working with a handful of guys who want to use body weights to build muscle. Would you like to join me?
Right.
That's it. They're going to respond. And now you have people have raised their hand to say like, yeah, like this is interesting. Tell me more about it. And so all you have to do is you need to be clear on what that looks like. So think of, it's a 8-week program, let's say, and we're going to do this, this, and this. If you can just detail that out, even in just like a PDF, that's all you need to. You don't need a fancy website or anything for this. So that when they say send me more details, you can send them something. But that's as simple as it needs to be. And I say this from personal experience because when I started doing workshops, like live in-person workshops 7 years ago, that's how we filled every single one of them. And when we did our first live events, our big live event, Healthpreneur Live, 3 years ago, we had like very, very little following. And it was kind of, I did things backwards. Instead of building a bit of a platform first, I decided to do a big event. And we filled that event with messages like that. And what it does is it cuts through the noise and it starts to get back to just a personal, like a conversation with a friend. Hey, I'm doing this thing. Who's interested? Cool. And then you jump into Messenger and you further the conversation. Cool. What's the price? Here are the details. Yeah, it's $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is. Again, not everyone's going to say yes, but it cuts to the chase, right? Because someone could read the book, and let's say out of 100 people, 75 of them just would rather read the book because they're not at a point to truly commit to the process. But let's say 20% are. They're like, hey, dude, I want to get in amazing shape. The book is great, but I just want you to tell me what the hell to do.
Got it.
Hold me accountable to that.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest.
I like that a lot because I feel like I'm dropping the ball on that because I literally have people emailing me and calling me questions like, how do I work with you? Like the books are exactly what you said. The books are great, but I want to work with you. Yep. How do we make this happen? I'm like, oh, geez, I'd love to too, but I got to figure that out.
So like, it's simple, Matt. So here would be if you were a client of ours, here would be my marching orders for you. Okay. I would spend however much time over the next day or so to get clear on what your program looks like. It's going to be 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. Here's the outcome that's promised. I'm going to help you put on 10 pounds of muscle in 10 weeks, for instance. And we're going to do that with 0 weights, your body weight only. We're going to work in a group of, let's say, 10 guys, whatever, however many people you want. And every week you're going to have a new workout. We're going to have a check-in call. Like whatever the deliverables might look like. You're just going to detail all that out. So you are super clear about what your program entails. And then when people start asking you about like, yeah, like how do I work with you? How do I do all this stuff? Like, cool. Let's first figure out if you're a good match to work with us. And then if so, here are the details. And that's all I would do. And you'll be surprised that it's so simple.
Yeah.
You have an existing audience, and I guarantee you there's going to be a small percentage of people in there who are like, finally, thank God. Like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd start. That's what I would do.
All right. I will get right on that pronto, Yuri. I'm going to start making that up because I envision this whole thing is just expanding and going into the directions that it needs to go into, because I feel like I'm so underserving people, which is so frustrating for me because I feel like I can't give people exactly what they want, but at the same time, I'm not capitalizing on it to bring myself where I need to be.
Yep.
So this is the first step. This is where I need to go.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you, so my health and fitness business was all about building a content platform for 10 plus years. You know, and our blog gets 1 million visitors a month now. We have 279,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I don't recommend that for most people because it took so long to get there and a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Healthpreneur, because I had the wisdom of having built a very successful business already, I said, I'm not going to do any of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work with people at a very high level, charge a premium price, transform their life and their business. And with that margin and free time, now I'm going to start to build a platform on the back end of that. And so only then did I start getting back into social media. But initially it was just like, let's get clients, let's make money, let's help those clients. And now that we've built a team around me that I don't have to do all the coaching myself, now I get to do stuff like this. I get to have like conversations and do podcasts like this and videos. I don't care if the stuff gets seen or not, because it does. My business doesn't depend on it, right? It's a bonus if obviously it gets, more visibility, but it's the complete opposite of what most people are doing. Most people, as we talked about, are building their platform first and then trying to monetize it, but it's very challenging to do that. So my suggestion, as I mentioned, is get the clients in at a premium price, blow them away, help them get amazing results. You'll get more social proof. That feeds back into what you're doing online socially. That's going to further the desire for people to want to work with you, to buy your stuff. And all of that extra money you now have gives you freedom of time, mental capacity, etc. And now you can write the books. You can do the things that maybe you love to do, that you want to really build a legacy around, that don't necessarily require like, oh my God, I don't have to sell the book to make money type of thing, right? So you can build your platform on the back end because you're serving people on the front end. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Total sense. Yeah.
Cool.
Love
awesome.
it.
Wicked, man. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. And
it's been super helpful. It gives me a little more clarity on what I'm already doing and what I'm trying to do. And it just gives me that extra push to be like, yep, you're going in the right direction. Now here's the way you refine it and clarify, and game on, off to the races.
Awesome. Wicked, man. Well, keep us posted with how it all goes. And obviously, if you need any help, let me know. Thanks again for being on the show, for bringing this up, for allowing us to kind of dig in and pull out some good nuggets. And for you guys watching or listening, hopefully you have found this valuable as well. If you want to join us in the Facebook group to continue the conversation, just go to healthpreneurgroup.com/tribe. And I look forward to seeing you in there. Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks again, Yuri. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur Podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training. Totally free right now, and you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.